One time for the city. Yeah, same aura as before. The smoke.
All right, we are back with another game of the week preview. What's going on, everyone? It's your host, Alex Terrace, aka the Tradacaster. With me on the other side is my guy, Brady Hawk. You already know who he is, man. He gives you the intel, the details on the Miami Heat for 5 Reasons Sports is here. So we're going to break down this game because the New York Knicks are ending their home stand against the Miami Heat, a familiar foe. We lost to them earlier this season, so we're going to get that get back. You know what I mean? So make sure to stay locked in, tapped in. You already know what the vibe is. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. All right? I'm here watching the New York Jets play the Patriots, and I'm living and dying by every second. All right? So, but we won't focus on that. We'll focus on this Knicks Heat. Let's get into it, everybody. Let's get into it. Ooh, Knicks Nation. All right, man. Brady, how you feeling, my man? How you doing today?
Doing good. Thank you guys for having me back. Like I told you before the show, it's a new day for both of us. The vibes are a little different than last year, so it's a little bit of a shift.
It is a little bit of a shift. I mean, both teams got different expectations for this season. You know, Knicks are on that championship or bust type of wavelength right now. You know, you get rid of Tom Thibodeau, you bring in Mike Brown, make some offseason moves to round out the bench. And so since I got you, look, man, the Knicks and the Heat got some, we got animosity. We got animosity towards one another. So got to start it off by asking you, what do you think about this Knicks team 10 games in?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar to Miami. I mean, you're seeing a team that's top three in offensive rating to start the season. So the offensive has obviously been clicking. Miami, on the other hand, is first in points per game. So a little bit different, but both offenses are kind of two defensive teams leading offense, right? Like that's kind of what we're looking at. So it's a little bit of a different approach, I'd say. I mean, Miami coming in, it's funny because even though they're both offensive teams, I mean, in some ways, I kind of expect these two games to somehow find their way to being dogfights defensively. I mean, that's just kind of what ultimately ends up happening, especially with these type of Eastern Conference rivalries. It's kind of what happens in the mud type games, turnovers, all that stuff starts to kind of pile up. But my overall takeaway is, yeah, it's a new version of this Knicks team to kind of prepare for because I mean, no Brunson in this game coming up, but with or without him, the offense is still been strong, and it feels like specifically without Brunson, they're more manned to kind of make up for it. I guess a little bit easier with kind of adding some of that depth that you were just talking about. So that's kind of the main takeaway is that it's a little bit of a different approach, I guess, schematically for Miami dealing with New York than maybe it was the last couple of years.
For sure. And look, looking at the Knicks this season, they're definitely a little bit more potent in offense, although we saw somewhat of like a similar shift to begin last season under Tom Thibodeau, where the team was cutting left and right. Guys were doing some decent passing, but it feels like it's taken a step up for 3 games in a row. They scored over 130 points against the Timberwolves, Nets, and then the Grizzlies. Knicks fall last night to the Orlando Magic on the second night of a back-to-back. But to me, it's a team that's very physical that they weren't prepared for. So I'm looking to see how they adjust and get ready for that. Now, this is a different look Miami Heat team. You don't have Jimmy Butler anymore. You shipped him out over to Golden State, man. You guys said enough with their nonsense. We're done with this. We're going to focus on Bam. We're going to focus on Tyler Hero. Funny enough, you say there's no Brunson for tomorrow. There's no Bam or Tyler Hero for tomorrow too.
Yeah.
So this is a very interesting game for a Friday night on Amazon Prime. I'm sure they're all disappointed in this, but hey,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But before I ask you one more question, before I ask you about your Miami Heat, what do you think about Mike Brown as a head coach? Because I know they brought him in here after they saw what he did in Sacramento to like liven up the offense, give it that juice that we didn't have last season. But he's really a defensive-minded head coach. But what do you think of him as a head coach so far?
Yeah, I'd say that's the kind of the biggest thing because it's something we talk about down here with kind of this new trend this season. But I mean, you have to be able to juice up the offense in this league right now. Like it got a little bit stale with teams kind of leaning into just shooting a bunch of threes, kind of the Boston way, which kind of led to that championship. But it's like there's just these new styles that are being implemented now where it's like trying to figure out the new trend, the next trend that's going to start. And as much as, Thibodeau is an example, Spo, who is arguably the greatest coach in the league right now, but he's still has lean defense for his entire career, has found a way to kind of rejuvenate offense. So I think what you see in Mike Brown is like you have to have, especially with a beaten up Eastern Conference, you got to have some dominance, I guess, offensively to kind of get you through an 82 game season. Now, when the playoffs comes around, everything gets tighter. I think both Mike Brown and Spo are similar where they could get down defensively and figure that stuff out. But for the regular season, it's like, yeah, like you got to be able to score. Defense is fun. The in the mud style that might happen in a Heat Knicks game over these next two games is great. I mean, that's just what ends up happening. But these back and forth scoring battles is, I mean, Adam Silver must be happy with what's happening there. That's kind of what draws eyes. But I just think that Mike Brown's kind of implementing a new offense, and these other teams are doing it as well. That it's kind of what you have to do right now. You have to kind of find these new things, and similar to Miami as well. I mean, we were talking about when Jimmy goes out and getting a stale roster, you need something new, right? Like you
Hmm.
need something new on your roster in your locker to kind of liven up your team. That's the same thing that happens. I mean, on the other side, I mean, sometimes a coach is all you need. You need something new in your locker room with your unit, with your team to kind of just change things up, to kind of just like juice up a team. And that's what it kind of feels like they did.
Yeah, and you know, when I watch Mike Brown and seeing what he's done with this team, I know like offensively it's going to stand out. You point out Adam Silver is certainly happy. Look,
Yeah.
everyone wants to see more offense. Everyone loves Steph Curry. Everyone loves LeBron has their triple doubles. Even Giannis does the triple doubles. Jokic, I mean, last night Jokic just
Yeah.
decided, just dominate. 25 points in the first quarter, finishes with over 50 in the game. Like that's what's going to gravitate and bring eyes, especially when they put it up all on social media. But I think the thing that you bring Mike Brown in here for too is to create that opportunistic defense. And I've seen that from New York early on this season where you get OG, Bridges, even Clarkson just getting out there and getting turnovers. And I feel like that's where it's going to be critical for this team. And I'm sure you could attest to that too. Like the Miami Heat way. I know what the Miami Heat way is like. You play offense, but they hang their hats on defense, being able to play
Mhm.
48 minutes straight defense. But I feel like now you got to go like lean to more opportunistic defense, especially for the postseason.
You have the defensive style. It's like it's one thing to get stops, but I feel like in the regular season, especially, you have to be built to force turnovers. Like that's the easiest way to create a better offense. I mean, that's kind of what both teams are doing. You have to kind of lean into. I mean, Miami's totally leaned into it where they were never a fast-paced team. Eric Spoelstra's always been a half-court coach. I mean, in and out. I mean, Jimmy Butler, he was forced to be kind of a slower pace coach, but now you're kind of seeing a style with both these teams that it's like when I guess any team it is for too, but if you force turnovers to get out and run, it's an easy way to just go on runs. It's the easiest way to kind of force timeouts, build momentum, easy way to score points, especially with this both rosters being a little bit more athletic and younger. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to be able to play that style. So yeah, like defensively, it's about not just getting stops and being in the mud, but it's like having a playmaking defense, which it feels like honestly both of these teams have. Like they're the ability to get stops, but also force turnovers, get out and run. Not like the guy on the bottom box that's just swatting balls out of bounds and those type of empty possession stats. It's more so live ball turnovers that kind of create some offense.
So it's the Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another game of the week preview. With me on the other side is my guy Brady Hawk. He covers the Miami Heat for 5 Reasons Sports. Make sure to go check out his work. Eric Spoelstra's giving him death stares when he's trying to reveal the playbook, especially during a playoff series. So make sure to go check out his work. He does great work over there, especially if you want to tap in and just get the league at large. All right, let's get back into this, man. So Brady, your Miami Heat. They're shocking people, shocking me. I mean, they're here 7-5. They're competing. You get rid of Jimmy Butler, like I said. You have Bam down there. You got Tyler, but like, it feels like this team is playing a little. They're punching above their weight class right now, especially in what was projected for them this season. Would you agree with that?
For sure. I mean, you just said they have Bam and Tyler, and in reality, they really haven't. Like it's been such a weird season where I mean, Tyler hasn't played, Bam's been out for the last couple of games, and they found ways to survive with these other guys. Like I said, sometimes it's all you need is some new life, and that's what's kind of been the story of this season in a lot of ways. Bringing in Norman Powell has kind of changed up the vibes of the locker room, changed up a little bit of the offense. He's been really good for Miami. I mean, he's been as strong of a scorer as you could have asked for. And I think that the biggest story of this season, obviously, we were kind of hinted at it there, is just Miami pretty much threw away their offense in the offseason. Like after getting swept by the Cavs, they pretty much said we can't keep running this style of offense, especially without Jimmy Butler, because it was catered to him in a lot of ways. And they started from scratch. So it's been a new offense. It's about transition in the half court. It's about isolation, getting into the paint, driving kicks. It's about trying to generate different shots. Miami's been an offense over the last few years. It's been constant pick and rolls. I mean, we remember from all these playoff series, it's a pick and roll game. It's Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo running a pick and roll, and if it wasn't, it was a mid post touch for Jimmy Butler. Like that was pretty much what the offense was in those series. And now it's just they're dead last in pick and rolls. They're not screening as much. It's like you just get the ball in the wing, you create one-on-one, see if you can find an advantage. If somebody helps, you make a kick out. They've just found ways to kind of simplify this offense in a lot of ways. So, yeah, they've definitely been shocking people. Like I said, when you said it before we even started, it shocked us down here in a lot of ways, especially not just that they're outperforming what the expectations were, but with injuries. I mean, the ability to kind of find some depth. And that's the other, I'm not just sitting here trying to find correlation between these two teams, but like the added depth that both these teams have than probably the last time we spoke is big time. I mean, Miami definitely did not have close to as much depth as they do right now. The last time they met up in New York, obviously had some offseason acquisitions kind of build that up as well. So that's kind of falls into the same trap as like when you're running more, when you're doing all this certain style offensively, you need depth. There's no way not to. And yeah, that's kind of been the story of the first 11 games of the season, 12 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you got Norman Powell now, you got Andrew Wiggins. They're an interesting team. It seems like Jaime Jaquez has now found his rhythm again too.
Yeah.
What are you making about the Norman Powell Andrew Wiggins addition to this team?
Yeah, it's been interesting just because, like Andrew Wiggins, for example, was supposed to be the fourth option on this team coming into the year. Like he's supposed to be your kind of 3-and-D guy on the edges. Like, and all of a sudden he's jumping up to your second or third option with the injuries that have kind of piled up. So he's been strong. I mean, I was pointing out he's been extremely clutch this season. There's some crazy numbers out there where he's like 4 of 5 from three in clutch time and 5 of 7 from
Hmm.
the field. He's hit some really big shots. Not like I mean, no, obviously everybody sees that buzzer beater a couple nights ago where he kind of has the lob to kind of win the game at the buzzer, but it's been big shot after big shot. And Powell's been the guy in between. He's been the guy that's been killing it in all the in between parts of the game, averaging well over 20 points a game, uh, killing it from three, being able to create off the dribble. But the interesting part, as you mentioned before, it's not like when a guy goes out and it's like, okay, well, Norman Powell has to just dribble the ball into the floor the entire time, where it's just, okay, he becomes the first option. Miami's kind of found a way where and everybody eats offense. That's what they call it. I mean, it's a situation where they're going to fill up the box score from all 10 guys. It's just everybody eats. As you said, Hawk has kind of been the biggest winner, I guess, of this new style, where they've kind of forced a way to. I mean, as we saw last season, I can't even remember if he played in some of the games where they played New York, just because he was out of the rotation. I think a lot of points by that point. He had a really rough season last year. Now he's kind of been there, pretty much like their second offensive option this season, where they're putting the ball in his hands, making him create. As I talked about with the isolation stuff, that's his game. It's about putting the ball in his hands, letting him get downhill. He's found real success off the bench in that spot. So, yeah, they're just getting it from a lot of these different guys. But like I said, Powell is deserves most of the credit just because he's changing the vibes
Mm.
of the team and the fact that I mean, look, even when Tyler was not supposed to play this season, when I was coming into the season, I'm saying I didn't think this Heat team would be able to shoot. Like it was Norman Powell, and I'm looking around the rest of this roster, and I'm like, I don't know where they're generating threes from. Uh, and they found ways to kind of stay afloat there, but it's been a big reason. It's just Norman be able to just he's shooting around 46% from three at this point, so he's
Wow.
doing it at an incredible rate. So credit to him. He's been kind of carrying Miami in that space.
So would you say that even with Hero coming back, is Norman Powell the number one option, or is it still like where does he stand in this whole thing?
I he's definitely wouldn't say he's the number one option. I think when Tyler comes back, he will be kind of in that spot. But I think what they're trying to form here is there isn't going to be one number one option. I mean, if
Hmm.
there's 10 seconds left in the clock in a tie game, I think that's when you kind of find out who's the number one option and who's not. But other than that, I think it's equal opportunity for a lot of these guys. And uh, I mean, you kind of see it over the last few years. I mean, you knew in those playoff series even when Tyler was out. I mean, Jimmy was going to get the ball in those spots. He was the number one option. He was kind of touching the ball in any possession. That's not really the case anymore. When you have when you don't have that guy, like when you don't have the guy that's raising the ceiling of your team, you can't really do that. When you don't have a Jalen Brunson type player that you could just go give the ball to and go get a bucket, you have to be able to kind of play this kind of equal out offense. So. I still think Tyler would be the number one option. I still think Bam is in there that mix as well, just based off shot attempts.
Hmm.
But Powell's doing a pretty crazy job for somebody that hasn't spent a lot of time as the number one option in his career. I mean, he's been six man. He's been playing off Harden and Kawhi. You could go down the line. He hasn't really been that guy, and for him to step into this role, being the oldest guy on the roster, by the way, is pretty impressive.
Hey man. Shout out to the vets, man. That's how I feel when I go out there and play pickup basketball, Brady. I'm 36 now. I'm playing with a bunch of guys who are like 22 to like 28. They go see me out there. I'm like, oh, I got the knee brace on. That's how I feel,
Represent
man.
for the Unks.
Hey, man. All right, man. All
Yeah.
right. Relax over there. Relax over there. All right. I am an uncle, but relax. All right. So let's get back to this, man. But I got another question for you on the Miami Heat. Like, what's the expectation with them doing so well this season? Do you expect them to continue this type of production for the rest of the regular season? And where do you want to see this team go afterwards, right? I mean, with Jimmy, you had this team get to two NBA finals. They didn't win. You faced the Lakers and you faced the Nuggets, but that you obviously couldn't do any more with it, so you blew it up, and now you're going in this different direction. But what's the expectation for this year?
That's kind of the funny thing. There really wasn't many expectations. I mean, they're always going to say contending. I mean, that's always going to be what's going to be said. But I mean, the issue's been they've been so middle of the pack, and I think every team, every fan base hates to be middle of the pack. You either want to be at the top contending, or you want to be compiling up some draft picks where you can kind of build up, your roster. Miami's kind of found themselves in the middle of the pack, where they're just a team that's always going to be competitive. I mean, they're going to find, grit their way to a certain point. I think they looked at this, uh, I'm sure as everybody else did in New York, looking at this Eastern Conference and saying, okay, well, this is a year to really contend. This is a year to kind of really push forward in the Eastern Conference. And Miami saw an opportunity where, with all these injuries, they could be a team that, they're always in that play-in, but can they get above that? Can they get to a top six seed? And with the way it's looked with injuries, if you can see some of these guys coming back, it does seem like a roster that could find their way to a top six seed. Just with the new offense, with the scoring punches that they have coming back. I would say the expectations right now are different than the expectations, I guess, prior to camp. Like that
Mm.
100%. I don't think as much as they would say they could see the vision. I don't think they would say that they thought they would get to this point this quickly, where things would gel like this and the offense would be figured out. Because frankly, it hasn't. The offense has never really been figured out in Miami over the last few years. It's just been kind of sporadic. It's been the one run is like shooting 45% from three as a team, and that jumps you in the playoffs. Or one was, Jimmy Butler dropping 56 in playoff games. So it's like, other than those sporadic moments, they haven't had a consistent base of an offense that they're showing in the first 12 games of the season. So my expectations have changed. I think they could be a team that could be. I mean, look, they kind of took the style of the Pacers from last season. So I'm not saying they're going to be the Pacers and get to the finals. Definitely not. But I think they're looking at that playbook, that outlook, and kind of seeing if they can copy and paste that type of style, and maybe they can catch, some fire in a bottle in the playoffs.
Yeah, man, it's a copycat league. I feel like the Knicks are trying to
Hmm.
do that too with the way that their play style is. Trying to they're not moving the same pace as the Pacers.
Hmm.
Obviously, that's just a crazy rate to move
Yeah.
at. But the one thing that they're trying to implement is just the quick decision making. So looking for
Hmm.
guys who are cutting. If you got Cat at the elbow, then looking for him to find guys who are cutting towards the rim. Same thing with if someone's touching the paint, you drive and kick, and then you keep swinging the ball around until you just find an open 3-point shooter, which they love to rely on. They love to shoot a lot of threes. This team is putting up a lot of threes right now. They're top three when it comes to attempts, makes, top five. Well, the top five essentially in attempts, makes, and percentage at this point. So I
Hmm.
know that's what they're going to try to do tomorrow night. All right.
Yep.
So, salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning for another game of the week preview. With me on the other side is my guy Brady. He covers the Miami Heat for 5 reasons. 5 Reasons Sports. So make sure to go give him a follow. Shout out to all of Knicks Nation in here right now. I see Do Things in here. Shout out to you for being a franchise channel member. I see Mr. Don's in here. John Talento's always in here. Janal Ture, shout out to you. We got Dimitri in here. Shout out to all you guys, man. Mr. Do Things. I see. I'm not scared to check my DMs, man, about the Jets. Come on now. Come on. It's just the Jets, man. It's tough. They're 2-7, man. 2-7. He's a Dolphins fan, so he knows how I
Yeah.
feel, man. He knows exactly how
I
I
get
feel.
it. I get it.
It's tough out in these streets, especially when you got to watch the Patriots look like they got the 2.0 version of Belichick and Brady. But we're not going down that road. Right now, what we're going to do is salute one of our sponsors. And who's our sponsor for tonight? DraftKings. So everybody, all your favorite NBA players are back. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. New customers bet just $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass. Plus, score $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code KFTV. That's promo code KFTV. Bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass Plus, get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-97777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Pass-through of per-wage tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass auto renews until canceled. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. So remember, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that promo code KFTV. That promo code KFTV, just bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass plus $300 in bonus bets if your bets win. All right. Had to get that through. Shout out to our sponsor, DraftKings. Let's get back on track. So, Brady, looking at these teams, man, and after the first matchup, as you said, I expect there to be some defense. I expect there to be some muddiness just because of the history of these two teams. On top of that, we don't have Jalen Brunson for the Knicks. You know, he's dealing with an ankle sprain. He's day-to-day at this point. We don't know what the status is on him, but we definitely know he will not be playing tomorrow. Heat are without Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. So we're going down to the next line of guys. So for us, it's like Mikal Bridges, OG. For you, it's Norman Powell. It's Andrew Wiggins. What do you expect out of this game? Because I feel like we're not going to get that offensive production. So it's going to be relied heavily on that defense that you were touching on earlier in the show.
For sure. I mean, I feel like in these type of situations, look, Miami just dealt with this in the previous game. I mean, they beat the Cavs in wild fashion against Mitchell and Mobley and Garland and went to overtime and they had a wild finish. They played the Cavs again at home without Mitchell, without Garland, without Mobley, and that list went on, and they lost. So what happens when these guys go down is, I mean, game plans totally shift, and what happens is these role players turn into you kind of get to play a little bit more freely. I mean, that's the easiest way to say it, I would say, but it's also you start bombing away from three. So the biggest matchup I feel like in a game like this, when both teams without primary players, is like the defense versus the threes. It's like who you just said the Knicks get how much threes they get up. Miami has kind of struggled with their attempts. I mean, they haven't been able to kind of get up as many as they want just because they've been doing so much in the paint. But I'd expect the Knicks to kind of be able to kind of find this offense where they're just kind of taking a bunch of threes, running that type of offense. Miami's in position. Speaking of like previous matchups, I'm sure Miami put out a bunch of zone in previous matchups against the Knicks. I don't expect it much in this matchup. Like, I don't think that's something that you're willing to throw out there. Then there's the next part of this is the size factor. As much as Miami has a little bit of positional size on the wing to match up in New York, to start, they have one big man available pretty much, and it's Kel'el Ware. Like it's Kel'el Ware starting, and then they go extremely small from there. So it's off the bench. They pretty much have Nikola Jovic as their five. That we even saw recently some Andrew Wiggins at the five. Like it's been just very thin in the front court without Bam. They just don't have that much big man depth. So that's something to watch out for. Like if it's not the threes for New York, it's going to be kind of punished inside on those bench units. So. But the thing is, on the flip side of that is, as I was just talking about for New York, in those smaller lineups, Miami has the ability to kind of have a little bit more offensive firepower and speed. So it just feels like a similar style on both sides, and who can execute it better. I mean, a lot of games it comes down to whoever shoots the ball better from deep and puts up more. But I don't think it's going to be one of those games where it's like, okay, it's Powell versus OG and Anunoby. Whoever scores 30 is going to win. No, like I think these are two teams that have depth that just have to execute a game plan in consistency, because we've seen situations this season as well where there's quarterly lapses, and like these stretches have to be consistent to be able to kind of compete in a rivalry type matchup like this, to be honest.
For sure. And when you talk about the 3-point shooting, I'm very intrigued about tomorrow's 3-point shooting affair because, once again, going against Orlando, I should say, they didn't shoot the three ball well last night. But they are right now, just going through the numbers. The Knicks are number one when it comes to 3 points made. They're making about 16 and a half 3-pointers per game. They're attempting. They're number 3 right now in the league with 43.4. And percentage-wise, they dropped down. They were 5th yesterday. They dropped down to 7th. We do have some games going on right now. Or just, let's see. Yeah, some have just ended, so the stats are just updated. So right now they're shooting 38% from downtown. So this is a team that loves to shoot the three ball. They can do so effectively. Now Miami, obviously, as you know, is not that type of team that's going to put up a lot of threes, but they're right behind the Knicks. They're 8th right now when it comes to percentage. So they're pretty efficient with how they're going to attack this game. So I expect them to take advantage of every open look that they get from downtown. And the Knicks are certainly going to give them open looks from downtown. So the Knicks got to be able to tighten up their defense. That was one of the bigger issues yesterday against the Magic. You know, you start seeing Anthony Black just knocking down wide open threes. Not saying that he can't, but the way that the Knicks still guard right now is that they're going to protect the paint more so than guard the three-pointer. That's just, I don't know if that's something that Mike Brown wants to just emphasize on, or that's just something that's still rolling over from last season and they still got to work out of. But then your other point that you brought up too is, if the Heat are going to go small, they're going to get out in transition. And right now, the Heat are number 2 in transition scoring, fast break points. They're second with 19.7, with Raptors leading with 21.3. And now when you look at New York, their average, they're 16th right now. They're a team that could certainly get out there and compete on some nights out in transition. Not going to be the fastest paced team out there. But when I'm looking at who can guard well in transition, the Knicks are, they're once again they're barely out of the top 10. They're 11th. They average about 15 fast break points allowed per game. So this is where I'm looking for the Knicks to gonna have to step up here, man, because I know Miami's gonna want to get out there running and gunning, run up and down the floor, and that's what got to them in the first matchup. So they can't allow. You already see all this once. You gotta get back out in transition and stop them. Because I'm pretty sure in the first matchup, it was 30 some odd points out in fast breaks to single digits for the Knicks. I could pull that up, but that was something that just stood out in my mind.
Yeah, and I would say the other thing is because Miami, like I said before, they don't have the ability to go big, so they're stuck with this either way. And as have the Knicks, have you guys sized down, I guess, to start games at all? Has it been Mitchell Robinson, Towns pretty much all the way through? Because I'm curious how that matchup looks. I mean, more than Powell versus Bridges or OG versus I'm interested in if you're matching up with like Pella Larson's pretty much Miami's 4 to start games, who is, if you're familiar, is not a big guy. He's their guard slash wing that they've kind of used on the edges on both ends of the floor. But I mean, that's in a lot of ways who would be guarding Karl Anthony Towns. So yeah, I'm interested just in how Miami's going to match that type of size. But that's the advantage game, as you just said. Miami being smaller, they have the advantage that with 2 bigs on the other side, they can get out and run and get out in transition. But on the flip side, if it gets to a little bit of a half-court game, it feels like New York does have the advantage with that size. And the other thing that kicks in there, because this has kind of killed Miami a lot of this season, is the second chance points and offensive rebounds, which if New York stays big in that way, I think, to be honest, if Miami loses this game, I think it would be because of that reason. I think it'll be because New York dominated them in the offensive glass and had a bunch of second chance points. So that's kind of the other thing to watch out for.
Now, I just pulled up the stats from the first matchup this season, and I was close to what the fast break points were. Miami had 31 fast break points. Knicks had 10, so that was just disgusting. So that's where the Heat love to get, play small ball, get out there and run. But to your point about the rebounding, Knicks just barely edged out that one, 52-50. Knicks won that battle. So look, in tomorrow's match, to answer your Mitch question, let's just start there with the centers and just focus in on rebounding. I expect him to play since there's a day off in between. He's been on and off this season. They're really resting him. The goal for Mitch is to keep him healthy to the postseason, so he's not going to be playing back-to-backs. If he feels like a little soreness, they're just going to keep resting him. They don't really want to extend Mitch that much. So typically, if Mitch is not playing, then it's been Landry Shamet in that starting rotation. So you have Cat at the 5, Shamet as the 2 guard, and then you bump down Bridges at the 3, OG at the 4. Obviously, it's going to be a little interesting now with Brunson sideline. So I wonder if they're going to use Deuce McBride or if they're going to go Jordan Clarkson. I'm leaning more towards Jordan Clarkson. Not that I'm saying I want that, but I think they may just do that just to have somebody that can create and keep that flow to the offense going. I see that, but I could also see the argument for Deuce McBride because he is your best perimeter defender. against a team like Miami who likes to get out and run, it makes sense to have him out there as well. So I'm curious to see what direction they do go with. So that's just from like a stylistic and play standpoint, like rebounding wise. I think Mitch will be playing tomorrow, so we should get some second chance opportunities. But it's going to come down to the running and gunning for Miami, man. And I think the biggest thing is who's going to be out there playing the point for New York.
Most definitely. I mean, that's kind of the thing. If it does turn into a running match, I mean, a little bit less, I guess, for New York with Brunson down. But like I said, Miami's been without some guys, but the depth kind of kicks in here. I mean, you kind of Miami's been in a spot where they've played 10 guys on a lot of night, which they've rarely done. I mean, Spo's been a 9-man rotation guy for for a while now. And we're looking at when Tyler and Bam get back. I mean, there's a chance they could go 11 some nights just to
Mm.
kind of see what they could figure out because when you're playing this taxing style and you have 11, 10, 11 playable guys, it feels like you're just kind of got to rotate in and out. So yeah, I'm curious to see just the rotations in general. I mean, what you said about if they size down with Shamit and kind of bump Bridges and Anunoby down, it feels like would be a much more natural matchup wise. I mean, to start the game, if you have Anunoby and Bridges matching up on the other side with, you know, Powell, Wiggins, Larson, it just feels like there's a little bit of a natural matchup there. But if it's not, if they do go big, it seems like there's some advantages and disadvantages to both sides.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see tomorrow. It's going to be interesting. And I got to read the super chat right now, Brady. I got one from Hakeem the Dream 3298. Shout out to you for the $5 super chat. It said Mike Brown's philosophy doesn't win championships, but it will win regular season games. We got some doubters early in the season after a terrible loss to the Orlando Magic. Come on, people. It's still too early, man. We're 10 games in. There's 72 more to go. Let's relax. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. All right. Shout out to all the franchise channel members. Shout out to Knicks Nation. I know we got some Miami Heat people in here, man. They always come through. They always come through whenever Knicks Heat. Some of you are just not showing yourselves yet. I know how it's going right now, but I know you're all out there. All right. We got to get to the key matchup, Brady. And for me, for tomorrow's matchup, since we don't got Brunson, we don't got Hero, we don't got Bam, I'm going with Mikal Bridges and Norman Powell. Those two, that's my key matchup for tomorrow's game. Just because in the first matchup, Norman Powell did the damn thing. He had 29 points against the New York Knicks in that first matchup, third game of the regular season. So got to make sure that we are able to slow him down. And he's averaging 25 points this season, 4 boards, close to 3 assists per game. Shooting, as you mentioned, 48% from the field, essentially damn near 47 from downtown, and 94% from the free throw line. Then we got Mikal Bridges, had a hot start to the season, was averaging over 20 pretty frequently, but he's averaging, 15 over close to 16 points per game. He's averaging about 5 boards, averaging close to 5 assists. He's closing in on the 50-40-90 split right now. He's shooting 52% from the field, 45% from downtown, 85% from the free throw line. Just got to get to the line a little bit more, Mikal. Get to the line a little more. Get to the 90%. But these are my two guys that I'm looking forward to tomorrow's matchup because they're going to be lifting a lot of the offensive heavy duty for both their teams respectively. And then, look, I feel like they're both going to have that responsibility of having to guard, each other at some point throughout tomorrow's matchup too. So that's what I'm looking at as the key matchup for tomorrow's game.
Yeah, I mean, whoever can, when you're without your primary ball handler, I mean, whoever can generate more stuff with paint touches and kind of generating, better offense is kind of the key. I mean, both guys, Powell's usage definitely rose for Miami to start the season with the injuries, and Bridges' usage is about to jump up tomorrow. So it's a situation where when that happens, it's a little bit of a new role where it doesn't always equal more shot attempts, but it's more opportunities where it's more stuff going downhill, more doubles being forced to, Miami's much shown that they're going to throw a ton of doubles at Brunson anytime they play him. Or maybe that shifts over to a guy like Bridges, where now it's a little bit of an adjustment for him and a little bit something he's not used to in this type of matchup. So for sure, I mean, those two guys are going to be key. The only reason I'll say my kind of key matchup in this game would be Jaime is because, I mean, he had 17 points on 8 of 12 shooting against New York in the first matchup. He has been kind of he's been their guy. I mean, he's been the guy that's kind of been pushing them over the finish line in a lot of this run. But I'd say he's coming off a game where there was some game plan adjustments and some counters to start to the season because his outside shot has not been there. I mean, he's been a guy that's just all in the lane, all heading downhill, full head of steam. And teams are kind of been doing this thing where, and I'm very sure New York would do it, which is, putting bigs on them, where you might see, for example, Mitchell Robinson would be the perfect example. Like just throwing a Mitchell Robinson on him where he's planted at the free throw line maybe, and Jaime has to create, and it's kind of like a wall. Like he just if they're forcing you to shoot, uh, that is kind of my interesting key because if teams continue to do that, we've seen a little bit of a trend. It jams up Miami's offense. It's what led to them losing that underman game against Cleveland in the most recent game. So. I'm sure Miami will have counters to it now because there are some counters to attacking maybe the other mismatches that are on the court when teams do that. But I'm just interested to see if how New York treats that type of matchup because I mean, look, before the season, I'm sure you would expect coming into a game, the scouting report, main names on that report is going to be Tyler, Bam, Powell, maybe Wiggins. Jaime's been pretty high on those scouting reports this season for these other teams coming in, just because his usage has been so high for this team, and he's kind of the one that's creating the runs, creating the looks for a lot of their half court offense. So that's just a matchup I'm interested in, just because we saw an efficient Hawkes early in the season in the first matchup, and I'm just curious to see if there's any adjustments from that.
So you're telling me outside of Norman Powell, you're going with Jaime Jaquez as the key guy who's going to be leading the charge for tomorrow?
For sure. That that's
Wow.
that's the way it's been. I mean, if when Powell's not on the floor, he's been the guy offensively. He's been the guy in the points per game bracket that's been kind of killing it. I mean, Wiggins is a guy that's still your second piece. Like I don't want to undersell that, but he's been a guy that hasn't really changed his role where he's been off the ball, where it's a lot of the stuff that's off the catch from three. It's catch and go on the perimeter where it's just kind of quick hitter type plays. He's not a guy that's dragging out possessions with the ball in his hands. Like as much as he was traded for Jimmy, he's not being utilized like Jimmy. So I'd say Hawkes would be the second guy that I think is right behind him on the scouting report that you have to worry about.
That's so fascinating. Is he going to start tomorrow? Or is he going to still come off the bench?
No, he's still off the bench. He's going to play a whole lot of minutes, but they've kind of, I mean, it's pretty much it's Davion, Powell, Wiggins, Larson, and Ware is pretty much what they've stated with these injuries. And then, yeah, so it's honestly, I'm interested to see because you were just talking about who's going to be the guy off the bench. Is it McBride? Is it Clarkson? Whoever can pop as that kind of six-man energizer, whichever one it is for that team compared to Hawkes for Miami, I think that is a key matchup. Just whoever can kind of pop in that space. I mean, I think back to a lot of Heat Knicks games as of late. It always ends up being like those random guys off the bench for either side that end up kind of killing the other team. It's kind of what ends up happening, both in Miami, but especially in the environment in the Garden. So, yeah, that's something to watch for.
It's, whew, I was not expecting the Jaime Jaquez to be elevated that high. But I guess in this scenario, since we're missing guys,
Yeah,
it's certainly out there. But man, you know, I thought you were going to say he could be the X factor. You're saying hell no. This is the guy who's going to be the key matchup. He's just that type of dude. And look, I saw like for his rookie season that he's certainly capable of doing that, getting out in transition. I'm just fascinated. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Bridges, but before
yeah,
we get to the X Factors, let me do another little ad read, okay? Let me do another ad read because I got to salute to another one of our sponsors, okay? So people, get ready. All right, we're going to talk about our other sponsor, Square. So this episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. These businesses are what make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. When we show up as a community, it can mean big business for local business owners. Money spent in the neighborhood stays in the neighborhood. Take this ad as an excuse to go support your favorite local spot and have yourself a day in the neighborhood. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. So go to square.com/go/KFTV to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. All right. So let's get to the X factors. You said Jaime Jaquez is not going to be your X factor. My X factor for tomorrow's game is Jordan Clarkson because I feel like you're going to need him to be that guy in not be exactly like Brunson because Brunson's Brunson. That's just very
yeah,
hard to do.
yeah.
But he is capable of just going dummy on some random nights and putting up 20, 30 points off the bench. But if he does get that starting role, I still expect him to get that usage just because He's the only other guy that, with the rock in his hand, could go create for himself. And when you're going to go against a stingy Miami Heat defense, you're going to need somebody who can do that. And so Clarkson's the only guy that on this roster can probably do it more consistently than anybody else. Like, yeah, Bridges could get to his spots. You're going to need to get him some screens, have him doing some curls, get him wide open looks. He can be a guy that can get out in transition. OG has scored very well this season, taking what is given to him, but he's not a guy that's going to like put on some combo dribble moves and just break it down and then get to the cup. That's just not who he is. I would look at Cat for the another like offensive hub. He will be that. He will be relied on heavily. I'm not trying to throw any shade or nothing like that, but he's another guy that needs to get set up. I'm not expecting him to just bring up the rock and be like, go get into his own spot and then do anything of that nature. I mean, I got good Lord, I do not need to see him backing anybody down from three because we know we've seen that in the past. Please, none of that tomorrow. Please, no. All right. Get set up, get to the post, knock down your trail of threes. You'll be Gucci. So this is where that's why I look at Jordan Clarkson. All right. So the guy who can dribble, create for himself, and have to do it. And it's probably gonna be Davion Mitchell that's going to be out there guarding him for the
Yeah.
most part, just trying to guard him out. That's your best perimeter defender. That's your Deuce McBride in some to some degree. So I expect him to get that assignment, but I feel like they're gonna have to rely a little heavily on Clarkson just to create for this offense, unless Mike Brown's got something up his sleeve and can get this team just looking like some, true college basketball team, getting a lot of sets going and everyone's weaving in and out, We'll see what happens though. But I'm looking for Jordan Clarkson to be my X factor. Who's your X factor?
Yeah, I would say for Miami, this could go in a lot of different ways, but I think I would say Nikola Jovic. That would be the guy for Miami. I mean, there was a little bit more expectations on him coming into the season. As I said before, I mean, Jaquez kind of jumped over a lot of guys, kind of surprising people, being, kind of flashing for Miami offensively. But Jovic has been put in a position where he's either a boom or bust guy, where when he's clicking, he's clicking. But there's some nights where I think you can kind of tell in the first few minutes of a game if he misses his first two shots, it kind of could go a little bit south for him. But beyond the scoring, they just need him in a matchup like this. Like we were talking about before, that he's their backup five when Kel'el Ware is on the off the floor, and Kel'el Ware has not been a reliable, big man that's like going to be staying on the floor for long stretches of the game. So it's not like you have that one sticking point in place like they had with Ben. So in those minutes off the bench where you have, Jovic at the five and maybe he's guarding Towns in a stretch, that could swing the game, to be honest. I just think either defensively, where if the New York finds a stretch against that and it gets offensive rebounds and they ends up, making a run there. But offensively for Miami, I just think he could open things up. I mean, if he's facing Mitchell Robinson or Towns guarding him on the other end, he has to be able to attack that. He has to be able to kind of make them pay offensively, and not just stand around in the corner and let those guys off the hook. You have to be able to kind of make them move their feet and attack. So I think, yeah, there's a couple different ways you could go with this. I mean, you could match Clarkson's, I guess, as an X factor. You could, as you mentioned, with Davion Mitchell, just because you're going to need that perimeter defense. I feel like in a game like this, it's always needed in a game against New York. But I would go with Jovic just because this team looks like a better version of themselves when he is clicking for them off the bench. So that just makes the bigger difference.
Okay, you talk about the potential matchup with him and Mitchell Robinson. That was my second leading option for an X factor, just because you talked about earlier winning the
Yeah.
offensive glass battle,
Yeah.
and New York has been doing a great job of that this season. They are fifth right now in the league, averaging about 14.3 offensive boards per game. Mitchell Robinson has been leading the way when he is on the court, and look, he is just look. You need about three bodies just trying to slow him down. And he's going to be a critical factor in tomorrow's game
Hmm.
because I do expect this one to be a slugfest. I do not expect this to be a pretty offensive game. I expect this to be type of feast or famine. If these guys are going to have stretches of like scoring out in transition, there it is, and then it's going to slow down a bit. Probably get a few stretches of like knocking down some threes, but for the most part, I expect this one to be a grinded out type game just for the guys that are missing. And then on top of that, that's where I see Mitchell Robinson coming through and getting his shine by just grabbing offensive boards. The question is, though, is he going to get close to 20 minutes? Because he has not broken 20 minutes yet. That's the thing. So I know Cat's a good rebounder. Josh Hart's a really good rebounder. Those guys are going to be critical. in tomorrow's game as well, but Mitch would be my second option. But I'm waiting with Jordan Clarkson as my guy as the X factor for tomorrow's game. But Brady, appreciate you coming through as always and helping me break down this game. Please let the listeners know where they can find you. If you got any work up and coming, we should be on the lookout for.
Yeah, I'm sure, like I always say, there's a bunch of people ready for some Heat content in here probably. But Brady
You'll be
Hawk
surprised,
305 on
man. There's
Twitter.
people who love the NBA just like to tap in.
Maybe. No, just Brady Hawk 305 on Twitter and doing some work for on SI for the Heat page. So just those are the two primary spots.
There you have it, man. So make sure to give Brady a follow. He is a great follow. All right. We're learning a lot about just the game in general, just how he's breaking down plays. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the show, this man, when the Knicks were playing the Heat, all right, Brunson's first season on here, he is asking questions and Spo is giving him the death stare like, yo, man, chill. Stop revealing my playbook. So make sure to give Brady a follow, man. Salute to Knicks Nation for tuning in for another game of the week preview. Appreciate you all as always. Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Ray in here. Shout out to Ray for being a franchise channel member. Who else we got in here? We got E. Gibson. Shout out to you for being here as well. Janelle Turi, as I said, Mr. Dons. Appreciate you guys as well. Dimitri. Do things. I see you in here as well. Shout out to all you, man. I see CP being active in the chat as well. Shout out to all of you. And make sure to support our sponsors once again. Make sure to support our sponsors being DraftKings. All right. Make sure you use that promo code KFTV after you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass plus $300 in bonus bets if your bets win. Also, make sure to go support our sponsor, Square. Go to square.com/go/KFTV to go support your favorite local neighborhood spots, okay? And then on top of that, we got a newsletter, people. Make sure to go subscribe to the newsletter. We got a bunch of great writers out there doing the damn thing. We got Jeffrey Campbell. All right, yes, the same Jeffrey Campbell that supported Trae Young on this show. Good God, man. I don't know how that even happened. Saying he was better than Brunson a few years ago. I don't know how that happened. But he just dropped a post checking in after every single 10 games of the Knicks during the regular season. So make sure to check that out. Also, when you sign up for the newsletter, it gives you updates about what is happening with the channel, about any of our sponsors. You know, we got events. All right, we got watch parties. We got a watch party happening tomorrow. So make sure to tap in. That's why you stay locked into the newsletter, to keep up to date on all these new things. So make sure to go subscribe over there. And look, if you can't catch us live on YouTube, you can download the show on any audio listening platform, Apple, Spotify, you name it. We are there. So go make sure to go catch us over there. And that's about it, people. All right, everyone. We'll catch you for tomorrow. We got play-by-play. CK's doing the damn thing. And we got post-game, all right? All right, everyone. We'll catch you later. We out.